But I saw a conversation happen on my Facebook a few days ago about survivors of purity culture. And so if you don't know what purity culture was, good on you. If you do want to know what purity culture was, it was, in the 90s and early 2000s, this movement by religious communities, very much backed by American society as a whole, to save thyself for marriage and to pledge your purity, your virginity until you marry your future spouse. And typically the pressure was really put on girls for their future husbands, but guys also got pressured for their future wives. I was like a poster child for purity culture. I was committed in college for all 4 years. I did not date a single person. Like, I'm like, it's me and Jesus for life. Like, I'm not going to date anyone until it's my husband. Like, I was ridiculous. And what happened for a lot of women and in the purity culture movement is a shit ton of internalization of shame and guilt and fear around their bodies and their pleasure, to where they actually exhibit massively painful symptoms when it came to any kind of sexual interaction. And I've known women who've literally like gone to the hospital, they've had surgery, they've been cut open, doctors confounded, have no idea where the pain's coming from. They open them up, they can't find anything, they sew them back up, and like now there's additional trauma. And then there's a lot of women go on to find that has nothing to do with the physical and everything to do with like the emotional and religious trauma that is stored in their body. But because it's like talked about, so not a lot of people know about this, women live with a lot of this pain and think it's normal. Or men will tell them it's normal and women will know it's not normal, but their men will be like, it is. Like, it's just the more I fuck you, the more relaxed you'll get. Like, there's this horrible, horrible myth that the more dicking you get, the more you like it, or the more dicking you get, the softer you become. And it's like not true. So there's a lot of women who experience a ton of pain in sex. And I've always wondered, because I'm not a dude, I've always wondered how purity culture has affected men physically. Like, I know there's like a lot of internal shame. Like, if you haven't had sex yet, or if you've had sex with too many people, it's all fucking arbitrary. Like, what's the line? The line's always moving. There's no like right amount. There's like a lot of shame there. But I'm curious for you guys, if you were affected by the purity culture, or if you are aware of any men who have, and if it's exhibited any physical symptoms for them. Because I know for women, there's a shit ton. I love our intimate parties. Me too, Dominic. I did have a purity ring. My parents gave me one, I think, when I was a sophomore in high school, and a pledge card. And then I had sex that year. I'm a horn dog, like so fucking horny. But I felt massively guilty for it because I was sinning and doing something bad and violating or betraying my future husband, like all this bullshit, which is why I did this extreme swing where during college I didn't go on a single date. That was me trying to make up for being a horrible person, aka a normal healthy person. It's like I just think back to those days and it's like absolutely damaging. Fucking stupid shit that hurts so many people. I'm screenshotting that. The best, most accurate definition of purity culture. Holy shit, that was so good. Notice how they always seem to dump all the baggage on the women, and guys usually escape any consequences. Totally. To this day, this happens. This happened recently on my Facebook. On my Facebook, I wrote, and it had nothing to do with sex, but it just shows how we make the woman like responsible for everything. I posted on Facebook about how I finally officially reported the real estate agent who represented my house that I currently have for discrimination. And I was posting about it and I'm just saying, like, it's 2024. Like, there's no reason for discrimination to exist. And if it does, I will call it out. And if it means I have to file a formal complaint, if that means I have to show up to court, if this means I have to like fight for it, I fucking will. Like, I just won't stand for it. And a guy wrote on that wall, like, the moral of the story here, don't piss a woman off. Again, making me the problem. And I wrote back, I said, no, it's called don't be a dick. I guess apparently a bunch of people went after him because then he deleted his comment, which was good because it's just like everywhere. It's like women are constantly pinned for the problem when it's fucking not. Sam, in the UK, was purity culture like a thing, or was it was huge here in the US? I'm curious where you live. Was that a big thing? Was it kind of a thing? Not really a thing? I'm really curious to hear from you. Abstinence led to a lot of masturbation and shame and a lot of STIs because, because of purity culture, we didn't talk about preventative care. We didn't talk about contraception, because if you used contraception during sex, it meant you planned on having sex, which was a double sin. So it's not only a sin to have sex, but it was even worse to come prepared for it. It's like such fuckery, like Eric said, that fucked up so many people, and it caused so many health problems, versus just educating your offspring. Like, here are your options. So even for my offspring, who are quite young, they're 8, 11, and 13, I'm like, when that time comes, they already know. I'm like, you use protection. You need to protect your sexual health, and you need to protect the sexual health of those you're engaging with. Like, this is a bare minimum. This is a bare minimum standard in our household. You affected me now, no sex in almost a fucking year. Pie! I would die. I would die. I mean, I get it. I would get it. Oh, I'm sending you so much love. I'm sending you and I'm like, surprise, Pie. You're charming. You're cute. You've got the magical tooth gap. Like, I'm like, fill me in. What's going on? Let's get you some pussy. Are you counting BJ as sex or full on sex in the car that you got caught doing? Sex is also fluid, because what does sex mean? Because for everyone it's different. I mean, when I'm talking about sex, I am talking about intercourse, but blowjobs are sexual. It's a sexual interaction where fluid is exchanged and STIs can spread. So, that's another form of sex. Attended a Catholic educational establishment, and a majority of people in my class were grade A horn dogs. Yes, when you repress it, it almost like intensifies it, versus if you're able to like healthily channel it. I don't think it would be such a big deal, but yeah, I was so fucking horny. Still, I'm super fucking horny. And then I saw this comedian clip on Instagram where he says women in their early 40s are like absolutely horn dogs. And I texted my partner, I was like, watch out, because apparently I'm about to get even more horny. Like, oh my God, how's that possible for Nicole? Coming from a Catholic background, we talked about abstinence, but no way as much as many of the conservative Protestant sects did. Yep. And so I'm always reminding my clients, like, you get to have exactly what you want, like exactly what you want, and you don't have to settle. And like, they look to me because I was in a marriage to a good person. He's a good person, just so not aligned in the end. Like, we were so not aligned, and we are so much better off not being partnered together. But that was hard, because when I was getting divorced, everyone thought I was crazy because he's a good guy. And there was so much shame put on me for not being grateful enough, that I was like greedy or selfish or broken, or I was having an early midlife crisis. Everything was thrown in my face. And the crazy thing is, no one knows what goes on in a marriage or in a relationship except for the people in the relationship. So even though you can have the appearance of having a really amazing relationship, behind closed doors, it could be pretty shitty. But no one will know. For example, no one in my life knew that in this 12-year marriage, I was never given an orgasm. That's a really big fucking deal for someone like me who's very sexual. If I wasn't interested in sex and it wasn't a big deal, maybe it wouldn't have bothered me. It is one of my core issues I had in that marriage, right? So it's just like, I just don't get why we would shame anyone for wanting better for themselves, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's right for a person. No one does, except for the person in that relationship. So yeah, so I went from like being married to a good man, but not aligned, to like going on to find a partner that is like so next level in every way. And I think about it often, like, wow, what if I'd stayed with what was good-ish, and all I would have missed out on had I stayed. Like, I'm so fucking grateful I didn't. So I'm like a constant reminder to my clients, like, I promise you that exactly what you want exists. So do not settle until that is your reality.